Okay, so Georgia and Ohio State are a little bit of ways away still, about 3 weeks or so. But there was some interesting stuff in terms of the betting lines on this game. ESPN did a little bit of a deep dive into this, and our buddy Purple Brave over at Georgia, excuse me, over at Dawg Post on the message board has done the same thing. Here's what ESPN reported in terms of betting. Georgia's 8-2 against the spread against teams over ranked teams over the last two seasons, including five straight covers. They're 3-0 against the spread this season. Georgia's 8-3 against the spread against top 10, 8-3 against top five teams under Kirby Smart. Georgia's 10-3 against the spread since 2012. So Georgia's 8-3 against top 10 teams. Ohio State is 1-7 against the spread against ranked teams over the last two seasons, including five straight against spread losses. 0-3 this season. That's against ranked teams. Georgia is 8-2 against the spread in the last 10 bowl games. 6-2 against the spread under Kirby Smart. Georgia's last five bowl games were under. Also, Ohio State is 15-4. This is the only one that's a little bit for Ohio State. Ohio State's 15-4 against the spread as an underdog since 2019. They do not commonly enter games as underdogs. Under Ryan Day, however, Ohio State is 1-2 against the spread as an underdog. Those are all in the college football playoff. This is the first time Ohio State has been an underdog this season. Ohio State games are 9-1 on the over in the last 10 games. Ohio State is 1-4 against the spread in its last five games. We talked about that part a lot, how they just have not played as well as kind of you would want to play as a team. I started watching their game against Notre Dame to get a better just sort of view of the world. They're going to need to. It's going to be. They're going to have to stop the run. I don't know if they're going to be able to against Georgia the way that you really need to. Purple goes on to say favorites in the college football playoff semifinals are 12-4 straight up in semifinal games. 12-4, the favorites, and they are 11-5 against the spread. I don't know who that one team was that didn't cover and won. Anyway, teams that win are 15-1 against the spread. So just teams that win are 15-1. The only team to do that was to not do that was Alabama. That was a 14 and a half point favorite over Oklahoma in 2019. I don't remember that game or not, but Oklahoma got out. Alabama got out to a pretty good lead, I feel like, and Oklahoma kind of rallied a little bit, but it was just too much. Purple goes on to point out that teams favored by 6 points or more, which is where Georgia's at, are 9-2 straight up, 7-3 against the spread. Ohio State claiming both of those underdog wins. I don't know if y'all remember the Alabama. This was really a shocker for Urban Meyer when Ohio State won the national championship in 2014. They came in. They really beat Ohio. Ohio State beat Alabama's brains in that night in the Sugar Bowl. And then in 2020, Ohio State beat Clemson. Listen, I don't know why they were an underdog in that game. I understand why they were an underdog against Alabama in New Orleans, but not against Clemson in 2020. The Ohio State team, they had not played a lot, but they were clearly better than Clemson, I thought. Anyway, Ohio State's 2-2 in 2-2 in semifinal games, 2-1 as an underdog. Georgia obviously is 2-0 in semifinals. They've been the favorite both times. So Ohio State is not. This is not abnormal for Ohio State to be the underdog in the semifinal games. Hey, look, DAWGSTRUCTION is getting mailed out as we speak every single day. Please order it now if you plan on ordering it. It's the 14th. That gives us about 7 mailing days to get it to you. So it's got to be to you by Friday of next week for Christmas. So, if Santa Claus is bringing it, you want to get on this now. Anyway, you can get it in Athens as well at Red Zone, which is on Clayton Street. So pick this up today. Don't wait. I had a lot of orders yesterday. I'm not going to run out of books, but I am going to run out of time. So get on that now. Um, Look, I did want to shift my discussion just for a second to watching Ohio State earlier today against Notre Dame. I did not want to watch the Michigan game for, I think, obvious reasons. You don't want to watch games all the time where the other team loses. That gives a distorted view of reality. But I think in this case, Notre Dame is an okay team. Like, they're not great. And I know it was the first game of the season, but there were a lot of moments in that game where you were like, man, Notre Dame is better than Ohio State. Now, as time went on, you know, Notre Dame's sort of they slowed down in terms of what they were accomplishing. Um, but that game was a game deep into the third quarter, if not fourth quarter. And Ohio State got down 10-7 and scored a touchdown in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Notre Dame just simply could not get going um, in the third and fourth quarter, which is not. I mean, that's to Ohio State's credit, and I think Ohio State played better in the second half, but CJ Stroud's human. He's a really good quarterback. You can see that. And but some of the guys that are playing in this game for Ohio State are not playing. So that's another issue there. Ohio State did not quite get 400 yards against Notre Dame. I just know that really good performance from Ohio State can beat a average performance from Georgia. I mean, if Georgia plays the way they did again, obviously against Missouri, perhaps. Well, let's just stick with Missouri because I think pretty much every game other than that was just not competitive. Auburn, Vanderbilt, all these games. But if Georgia gets into a position where they're not playing well like that, yeah, you could be in some trouble for sure. You could lose. Um, but there are kind of a lot of games Ohio State's played. A lot may be the wrong term, but there are several games Ohio State has played that you're like, they won, but I thought the Ohio State win over Penn State was a good win. I mean, I don't. I think giving up 31 to Penn State is not ideal. But if you're going to give up a bunch of points, giving them up to Penn State is not the end of the world. Giving up 30 to Maryland, though, I think is a little bit troubling, frankly. That's one of the games I'm going to watch soon. That was a road game, so maybe a little bit more similar to what they're going to be dealing with. The one thing that you do notice about Ohio State, they can get hot coming out of the half. Good teams do that. But, you know, Maryland threw all over them. And, I think, I mean, I see why Georgia's favored in this game, is what I'm trying to say. Having watched them just a little bit, I need to watch more. Obviously, I'm not a coach. This is not my primary business. My primary business is mailing out these books, which takes about an hour or two a day, um, because of how many people are ordering. Which again, get your orders in now. Next week, I mean, I'm still going to mail them, but there's no guarantee. That's what Red Zone's for, frankly, next week. But um, I don't know right now. I don't know. I mean, there's a path for sure for Ohio State, but when you look at the way that they played against Notre Dame, the Ohio State Northwestern game, the Maryland game, obviously the Michigan game. I want to watch Penn State before I kind of judge that. And then you're getting to closer to about half the season where you're going, they don't look, because there was a time when they really did look good. I mean, I think going into Penn State, they'd beaten Arkansas State 45-12, then won 77-21, 52-21, 49-10, 49-20 on the road, 54-10. Maybe it was that they played at home so much at the beginning. I mean, they, of their first 7 games, all of them but one was at home. So they played Notre Dame at home, Arkansas State, Toledo, Wisconsin, Rutgers, and then they went on the road to Michigan State, and then they played, and then they hosted Iowa State. That's six. That's six games, right? Am I get that wrong? Notre Dame, Arkansas State, Toledo, Wisconsin, Rutgers, and then Iowa. Those are six of their first seven games were on the road. They were throttling people. And then when they started traveling a little bit, it got tougher. Needless to say, they won by 2 scores against Penn State. But I watched that game at the time. They had to struggle. They had to fight to win that game. Obviously, Northwestern, they just did not play well. Go home, beat Indiana's brains in. Go on the road to Maryland. That was an adventure. And then, getting smoked at home was not a good look. But, I mean, they're not unreal on the road. And this is basically going to be a road game. They know it. Now, look, they won all their road games. The only game they lost was a home game. But, I think you're seeing these betting trends through the years. There's a reason why the number 4 team usually doesn't win. I mean, I know off the top of my head that in 17, Alabama as the 4 won. They beat a Clemson team that should not have been the number 1 team. That Kirby called me again, man. I can't help you all the time, man. But I like Georgia in this game. I think I like them a little more than I did at the start because I've been watching some. But maybe I should go back and watch some of Georgia and that'll knock it down a little bit. Thanks for watching.